leaders from the School for Strike the Climate with Labor's own Renewable Energy Fund promises. Neither, however, seeks to address the issue in full. I'd like to ask the room to stand with me, either physically or symbolically, to show the panel that the electorate of Wills is concerned that the Labor Party's policies are not going far enough. And stay standing for a moment to show our Labor panel members that there is no climate policy is adequate unless it is stopping the Adani Carmichael mine.
Yeah.
With that, we just asked the panel, what will you do to stop the Adani Carmichael mine?
I had some occasion to talk to Fran Kelly about this morning on Radio National. I've had a clear position now for a couple of years that is not particularly focused on the Carmichael mine, but is focused on the Galilee Basin more broadly, and that is that I don't support the development of this basin. I'm opposed to it, and I don't think it's in the national interest for a whole range of reasons, both in terms of sort of the assumptions that drove the granting of these mining licences 10 years ago, but also the fundamental inconsistency with our climate commitments. I mean, they do, though, if you just even want to take an economic perspective of it, completely fly in the face of the fact that people thought 10 years ago, or the people who were behind the development of the basin, thought that coal consumption was going to continue to rise sort of as far as the eye can see. The problem for them is that the blessing for the planet is that China peaked its use of thermal coal 5 or 6 years ago. The US has closed 200 coal-fired power stations since 2010. We know that Germany is going to close about 80 over the next decade or so. As I said, the UK closes their last one pretty soon. And India, which was the great hope of the global coal industry, has said in their electricity plan that they don't intend to build a single new coal-fired power station over the decade, which is the duration of the plan. And more to the point, to the extent they do have some coal-fired power stations in their system, they don't want imported coal. They're going to phase out imported coal. So when I'm consistently lectured by people on the other side of the parliament about my lack of support for Adani, that means I don't support 250 million Indians getting access to electricity, my response to that is, well, go and talk to the Indian Prime Minister, because he's decided that the way in which he's going to give access to his people to electricity is through renewables. The investment in renewables in that country is jaw-dropping. And they've decided, obviously, to do what they did with telephony, and that is to leap technology and move to a renewables distributed system. So what that means about particularly the Adani mine, because that's at the front of the queue, but there are others behind it that I think we also, I know you guys have focused on the others as well, but in the public debate, we should be talking about GVK, we should be talking about Clive Palmer and the Chinese mine that just got a licence as well, because it's a whole basin. The International Energy Agency points out how weird this is. Like, there is no other proposal on the face of the planet to open up a new thermal coal basin. This is the only one on the face of the planet, because everyone else gets what's happening. And everyone else sort of has reconciled to it rather than making it the subject of some culture war, which is really what we're fighting here. So, look, Tony Burke was on Insiders yesterday, and we've got really good engagement with the Stop Adani Coalition, a range of the groups that are running this campaign. It's a really strong campaign, and I think it's really tapped into that sense of community expectation that their parliament needs to do better. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with coming to forums and being told to be more ambitious and be stronger. I think that's how this whole democracy should work. But Tony, who we hope will be the Environment Minister after May, has to work out how we would deal with this in a way in which is consistent with the environmental protection laws. And, obviously the groups that make up the Stop Adani Coalition are talking to us about that and providing us with their own legal advice about what our options will be. But Tony's going to have to deal with that in a way that is consistent with law and, reflects the facts on the ground at the time, if we do win government, the time we take government.
I'm not going to repeat all the analysis and argument that Mark's made, but for the record, I think I was one of the first backbenchers that came out and said that the Adani mine shouldn't go ahead, and it was published widely in the Age and Sydney Morning Herald back in early 2017. And that's probably just after I got elected and before I'd met a lot of the activist groups. And I do always look forward to meeting students who came to see me on Friday and did some good artwork out the front of the office, and talking to them about these issues, because as Mark said, even as a backbencher in caucus, we all are part of that discussion, part of that policy development. We can give our thoughts to Mark as the Minister responsible, and it is a process and we can always do better. And I'm very proud of the Labor Party because we have moved significantly. Obviously, we were there 10 years ago when we were moving on climate change. We've had a huge stagnation in politics and this culture war that Mark talks about. And just on that, you know, he talked about the UK government. It's not only on climate change. I mean, the good example is foreign aid. They're a Conservative government that went to 0.07% and met their targets. So it can be done if we take the politics out of it. And I'm looking forward to working with Mark on that.